Today we're going to walk through the shade gardens and find must-have, easy to grow perennials that love to be grown in full or part shade. The first variety is right behind me. This is the Hacklenacloa all gold grass. We plant a lot of the Hacklenacloa up at our northern Michigan garden because it is just such an excellent specimen for shady spaces. The beautiful chartreuse green foliage really pops. It's kind of dark in shade gardens typically, and that chartreuse foliage just really makes a statement. Being that it's a grass, it adds a little motion as it blows in the breeze. And this is a huge specimen of the Hacklenacloa grass. So over time, they can get big, although I'm thinking this was probably a grouping of 5 plants when it started, but those 5 plants kind of all grew in together to create this beautiful mass of color. And of course, in a shade garden, hostas are a must. Now, if you have deer, hostas are not a must. But for gardens that don't have deer, hostas are easy to grow varieties that they come in all kinds of sizes. There's giant ones like this one here, Woo La La hosta. That is a garden giant. Beautiful bicolor leaves, extra texture going on there, and that just really makes a beautiful, bold statement in the shade garden. Definitely that is a specimen hosta, not one you'd want to plant in mass unless you have a huge garden. Spigilla Little Redhead is a native perennial that can be grown in full sun to full shade gardens. It features beautiful tubular red, or now there's even orange, blooms with a beautiful yellow throat. Spigilla is long blooming. This was blooming already back in June, and these are kind of secondary blooms that have continued here well into August. So it's cool plant, different flower form, and it's always nice to have flowers in those shady spaces. With its bicolor foliage, Brunnera is a great shade-loving perennial. Beautiful contrast of green and silver give this plant color throughout the entire growing season. In the spring, beautiful periwinkle blooms emerge to add even extra interest to this plant. Brunnera are easy to grow. They can handle more dry shade type situations, and even if they get a little bit of sun, they'll handle that decently well, at least here in our northern gardens. But mostly I think the Brunnera is grown for the foliage interest throughout the summer season. Another added bonus with Brunnera is it's a deer resistant perennial because of its fuzzy texture. So if you're looking for something that is deer resistant to add to the garden, Brunnera is a great choice. One of my favorite shade loving perennials is another one that's just simply for its foliage interest, and that is the Aurelia Sun King. The thing I like about Aurelia Sun King is you can plant it among your hostas, and it just kind of breaks up that hosta look a little bit here. It's got that bright chartreuse green foliage, and it gets about 3 foot tall to 3 foot wide in most places anyways, at least in my garden. So it's one that if you have more of a smaller hosta collection, you can place it kind of as the back of the border and then let your hostas be in front of it to create just beautiful foliage contrast and interest. Aurelia Sun King does look a lot like a shrub based off of its habit, but it will die back to the ground in the late fall and winter. When we're in these shade gardens, a lot of what I'm finding are plants that add texture interest into the garden. And that is true here of this fern. So the fern has got beautiful texture, and it even has a little bit different coloration that it's adding into the shade garden. So you're seeing it's got a little bit of a silver hue to it, a little bit of burgundy, and it's really a nice border plant as seen here in this garden space that just kind of dances in the breeze. That's another thing that I talk about a lot too, is plants that will dance in the breeze and just add motion into the space. Thanks for walking through the shade garden with me today. If you have any questions or comments on any of the plants we've seen or talked about today, please feel free to leave it in the comments below. And if you're new to our channel, we welcome you to subscribe. Thanks for watching. I'm Heidi from Garden Crossings.